My boss had always made his sandwich look so darn good when he ate it. Thick roast beef and sauce poured over his fingers and onto a plate as he savored every bite. This should have been disgusting, but the smell made my mouth water and ignited an overwhelming primal craving within me. You see, I'm one of the jerkwads who took food that wasn't mine out of the break room fridge, but I didn't deserve what happened to me. I left my lunch sitting on the table at home that morning. Money was short, and I had less than $1 in change. Not even enough for a bag of chips. So, I found myself digging around the back of the fridge at work. I hoped to find something forgotten that no one would miss, something to tide me over until the clock hit 4. A sandwich was tucked behind an old jug of half-curdled milk. It was your typical prepackaged deli job, wrapped in plastic, and had a logo for Good Old Foods, a small grocer that had started to spring up across the state. It was a Dunwich sandwich. It smelled amazing, and I scarfed it down before I could think about the potential consequences of eating the boss's lunch. Later that day, Mr. Stickler came screaming into the office demanding to know who stole his sandwich. He promised a full investigation and immediate termination for the thief. It was weird that anyone would go this far. We were all terrified and confused. He walked past me in the hall around 4, and I was certain he could smell it on me. His eyes bulged, and he sniffed long and hard. He pointed a finger at me and grinned. "Come by my office in the morning, Danny," he said. This job paid for my mom's growing medical costs. It was keeping her alive. Losing it would be losing her. I figured I could buy another sandwich, sneak it in the fridge so maybe he would see it and calm down. That he made a mistake. So after work, I went to the market. I checked the aisle where they kept the cold cuts and had no luck. A young man was slicing meat at the deli, and he smiled as he shook his head when I showed him the wrapper. "You'll have to come back tonight at 11. We'll definitely have it then." The sign at the front had said it closed at 10. The sign at the front had said closed at 10. But if this guy was able to get me one before tomorrow, I knew I'd gladly come back after hours. I laid a candy bar on the counter, not wanting to leave empty-handed. "You got your rewards card?" But I had never shopped here, so I just shook my head. "Here, do me a solid and use mine. Today is Double Point Tuesday." He seemed stoned out of his head as he struggled to scan the barcode. After I got home, I realized that I still had his card, but it didn't matter. I knew I could just give it to him later. But when I got there at 11, all the lights were out and the door was locked. A paper had been taped to the window of the entrance. "Card holders use rear entrance." Shadows swayed from a light in the alley behind the store, and I realized there were people back there. They stood in a line before a tall, rolling bay door and murmured excitedly as they waited. "Shipment's late," one of them whispered. "Andy heard that they got the new baby back ribs from St. Louis," cried another. I hated when people freaked out so much over something as mundane as food. The door slid up and we began to flow inside. Everyone pulled out their rewards cards as they stepped through and displayed them to a greeter lady in a folding chair. I showed them the one from the stoner guy and went on in. We didn't go into the store I had seen earlier. This store led down under the main floor to a whole other grocery store. One you'd never see if you used the normal entrance. The products here were so different. It was nothing but food, no cleaning products, no hygiene, no basic household items. It was nothing but food, no cleaning products, no hygiene, or basic household items. I raced directly to a sign that hung from the ceiling that read, "Cold Cuts." There were so many sandwiches, and my mouth watered as I smelled fresh roast beef. steaming in the back as the young man sliced away with the serrated knife. I found myself quickly frozen in place as I looked closer at the meats. It was a pack of bacon that caught my eye. I picked up the package and couldn't look away. On the front was a smiling family that knelt on a large wooden platform with their arms around each other's shoulders in a massive embrace. A thing with enormous jaws stood behind them in bib overalls and a strand of wheat sticking out of its maw. In the center of the family, the smallest child had its wrists and ankles tied together with an apple in its mouth. Shubtherith's organic human bacon. My heart thudded as I looked closer at everything around me. Carts rushed past me, overflowing with pickled heads, candied ladyfingers, and other horrors. A group of kids were tossing severed hands back and forth in the produce aisle. Their mother literally barked at them, and her neck extended an extra 2 feet as she glared them into submission. A hand fell on my shoulder and spun me around, sending the bacon to the floor. "Danny, Danny, Danny," Mr. Stickler said softly as he bent down to pick it up. "I'm so sorry to see you making such bad choices. I'd honestly always expected better of you." I waited for him to shriek in unknown tongues and offer me to the young cook in the back, but he didn't. Instead, he placed the bacon back on the shelf and grabbed another pack. "You should get Yilthogrun's free-range organic. I'm a partial owner, and their quality is exceptional." His eyes searched mine, and his tongue flicked between his teeth as he continued. "It always tastes better when your food is treated fairly, when they are allowed to run." On the package, a young man stood on an apartment rooftop with his hands reaching towards the sunrise. "The ethical choice," the letters boasted, encircling the sunrise. Stickler's head stretched. A chittering sound rose inside him as his eyes blinked and sank into his skull like a Halloween mask slipping off. "Peekaboo, I see you," he whispered behind a misshapen grin. My mind raced through survival scenarios. I left the oven on," I said numbly as I stepped away. It was stupid and not what I had intended to say at all. I slowly backed away and turned toward the back of the store. My safest bet was to leave as quickly as I could without drawing too much attention, so I kept my steps brisk and busy, like I had a place I needed to be. He didn't chase or follow me, at least not yet. I kept checking my mirrors the whole drive home. I locked every door and window in my apartment, pulled all the blinds and curtains tight. A thought plagued my mind and made my flesh crawl. All of the details about the bacon, the surgical precision it had been sliced, the heat-sealed packaging, and the shipment the people were so excited for. This was mass production, an industry. Sleep was impossible that night. I called into HR in the morning and quit my job. Next, I checked in with the local temp agency and took a job at a call center. It was a horrible downgrade, but without income, it was certain my mom would die. Eventually, I relaxed, grateful for the smaller paycheck if it meant never having to see Mr. Stickler again. But then another temp started at a desk 2 rows from mine. It was him. Mr. Stickler looked back at me and smiled as he took a big bite of a sandwich, one that dripped red sauce onto his desk. I quit the same day. My next job was directing traffic as a road worker. A few days in, I heard a familiar voice crackle through on the 2-way radio. "Peekaboo." He stood wearing an orange reflective tape jacket as he held a stop sign at the far end of the road. His gloved hand waved playfully, like to a dear friend. He was hunting me the ethical way. I've quit so many jobs now, and I'll be homeless by the end of the week. I'm just so tired. And the thing is, he showed up at my house as soon as the landlord gave me my final eviction notice reminder. He pulled it off the door and handed me an itemized list of my mom's projected medical expenses. He smiled as he pointed at the 6-figure total. Sounds like you need some money. He pulled a check from his jacket pocket and handed it to me. It was for the total of the itemized letter to the penny. The check was signed at the bottom with the name Yulthogrun. Last night I dreamt I was on my apartment rooftop, reaching into a deep, starless void above me. At least my mother will get to live a long and happy life. Just as any good child should want. Edit. After I posted this, Mr. Strickler stopped by again, and this time he showed me his true face. It was beautiful. I don't agree with the title anymore. Get one. Everyone needs something good to eat, and I promise that one's really good. Tomorrow, I'll be on the shelves. I imagine there will be many smiling faces surrounding me as I fry into your skillet. Or maybe your mouth will water, and a shiver will run down your spine when you taste how delicious I am in your Dunwich sandwich. Thank you so much for listening to my narration of this wonderful story. Don't forget to support the author, which I have linked in the description, as well as the original story. And I just want to give a quick shout out to my patrons, Scott, Old Penguin, Ellie Hutmeyer, Mr. Sankofa, Austin My Love, Rinku Star, William Hartley, Cupcake Hips, Alonzo, Icy Narrates, Jesse Hartley, Eric Cifuentes, Lawrence Wallen, and Melissa Perez. I also try to link a different charity or a different cause every month and maybe a little more. So don't forget to check out the description to support the author of the story you just listened to and to maybe help somebody else out, even if it's just $1. As always, if you guys have a prayer request, please let me know in the comments. Shoot me a message on Discord. I would love to know how I can be praying for you. Thank you guys so much. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.